Dar es Salaam. The bustling port city is the beating heart of East Africa's music scene. Bongo flavor, Tanzania's twist on hip-hop, dominates the city's airwaves. But this is a place with a rich musical heritage, tapping its feet to centuries-old tunes. Much of the country's history can be found here, in the archives of Tanzania's state broadcaster. Sifting through the rows of shelves, Rebecca Corey is the director of the Tanzania Heritage Project, a non-profit initiative that sets out to protect and promote the country's musical culture.
These archives hold the national story in audio recordings. The early independence government was committed to preserving the heritage of the country as a way to build a national identity and to reaffirm pride in the diversity of Tanzanian culture. A lot of the recordings of tribal music was recorded by these field recording safaris that would go out into all of the different regions of Tanzania to document the living culture as it was practiced at the time.
The archives are home to more than 100,000 hours worth of unique material, a goldmine of political speeches, poetry, and drama, as well as traditional music. By turning dusty discs into digital recordings, Rebecca hopes to preserve these sounds for generations to come.
Music in Tanzania is a repository for knowledge, beliefs, rituals, traditions, even historical events. This heritage is incredibly important to keeping the fabric of social life whole and complete and vibrant. All of the recordings at the Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation are on reel-to-reel tapes or vinyl records. Especially the reel-to-reel tapes are incredibly vulnerable, just to the passage of time, to dust, to insects, to fire or flood. And so the Tanzania Heritage Project wants to ensure that these tapes are digitized before it's too late. So this is a recording of a dance and music from the Wazaramo people of the Dar es Salaam region. In the top of the box, you have the different instruments that were used. So 2 small drums, 3 big drums, and 1 debe. Agriculture was considered what people should be doing was farming the land to make the country self-sustainable and self-reliant. So the title of the song is Nakwenda Kijijini Nakimbia Nguvu Kazi. So I'm going back to the village, I'm running away from the hard work of the city. It's just magical hearing this music again. It really transports you to another place where this music was recorded and where it had the most importance, right in the middle of the community and as a part of the life of the people.
Tanzanian music is a reflection of more than 120 ethnic groups and tribes. Captured in these archives are their distinctive sounds and instruments, many of which are fast disappearing.
People move around, people move into the cities, and this knowledge is just not being handed down to the younger generation. Once we realized that the knowledge of how to make and play some of Tanzania's most beautiful traditional instruments was disappearing, we felt it was important to pick up where the recording safaris of the 60s and 70s had left off. We've decided that we want to go out and try to record these instruments before there's no longer the opportunity to do so.
For her recording safari, Rebecca will team up with sound engineer Yusuf Good. They will travel 60 kilometers north of the capital to the seaside town of Bagamoyo.
Bagamoyo, you could would call it one of the most artistic and musical cities in Tanzania. We want to hear all of these different instruments that are unfortunately disappearing. I'm so excited to go to Bagamoyo, but we also feel a sense of urgency about doing these recordings before it's too late.
Amaliza baba we.
In the coastal village of Bagamoyo, Warema Chacha is adding the finishing touches to an 8-string litungu, a traditional instrument made of simple materials, wood, rope, and cowskin stretched over a steel bowl. In his hands, he holds the product of a craft that is fast disappearing here in Tanzania. Warema is one of the few remaining artisans with the skills to both make and play the instrument.
Kusema ukweli, mtu hawezi kuwa mkulima kama huna hujui kutengeneza jembe.
You cannot be a good farmer if you can't make your own hoe. I'm a musician because I know how to make this instrument, as you can see this one here. I do this because I'm passionate about it. I love it with all my heart.
The litungu is traditionally played in the Mara region of northern Tanzania, home to Chacha's tribe, the Kuria. Without him, the art of making the instrument could vanish, and with it, the distinctive sound of the litungu.
I love the sound of the litungu. In many songs that I play, for example, this one. If you listen to this, this is the high note, and this is the low note. This is the essence of the sound, and I start making the instruments following this order. The sounds and instruments will only get lost maybe when we, the elders, are not in this world anymore. However, as of now, young people tend not to learn how to play these instruments, so there is a risk of losing this craft.
Musicologist Rebecca Corey and sound engineer Yusuf Good have traveled from Dar es Salaam to Bagamoyo to meet musicians and instrument makers like Chacha. Through field recordings, they hope to preserve the traditions of Tanzania's musical landscape.
We've set up a few mics to capture the sounds coming from the instrument and also a bit of the ambiance, a part of the atmosphere. You know, that's the wonderful thing about field recordings. They're in the moment. And so we're not just capturing the instrument and the singing, but also a bit of the environment as well.
Mr. Chacha is one of our elders. I respect him because he is our teacher on playing litungu. So I'm so excited to be close to him and to record him. When you record it, it's like you are recording 3 things at a time. You have to record litungu itself, and there is bells, and the guy is singing. So it's a bit tricky to record them because their frequencies are different.
It's an incredible instrument that is rarely heard in Tanzania to this day. This is one of those instances of an instrument that's at risk of disappearing completely if something isn't done to keep it alive. It's one thing to read about an instrument or to hear an archival recording from 40, 50 years ago, it's an entirely different thing to experience it live, in the flesh, right in front of you. And that's just an unbeatable experience. Asante. Asante sana.
Traditional performances, known as ngoma in Swahili, are a way of life here. They celebrate social cohesion and encourage a sense of community. With more than 50 traditional instruments in Tanzania, these functions vary from tribe to tribe. As part of the recording session, Chacha has invited other fellow musicians, each playing an instrument representative of their ethnic group.
These musicians are trying something really new and innovative, to come together and play instruments that aren't normally heard together from many different regions and see how they work. The marimba from the Dar es Salaam region, the Zaramo tribe, the ilimba from the Gogo, which is in central Tanzania. The litungu is a Kikuria instrument from the north. Because they're not normally played together, you might imagine that the sounds might not fit together. They might contrast or conflict with one another. But it's kind of a brave new experiment for them to see if these new fusions can contribute to the preservation of these sounds. Sometimes musicologists tend to be purists. They only want to hear music exactly how it used to be played 100 years ago. But the point that they miss is that music and culture are always evolving, always changing. You know, what we want at the end of the day is for these musicians to be able to continue playing and keeping their tradition alive.
The preservation of these traditions also relies on the musicians' ability to pass down their craft from generation to generation. Chacha has found a keen pupil in his grandson, Chudo.
I'm happy about it because he understands what I do. Even though he plays drums, he can also play litungu and is still learning. So even when I die, I feel pride in knowing that I have someone who can inherit my craft and take on the instrument, and it won't get lost.
The elders will mix their traditional sounds with contemporary vibes as they swap the streets of Bagamoyo for the stage of Tanzania's largest city. Musicologist Rebecca Corey and sound engineer Yusuf Good are back in Dar es Salaam after a trip to Bagamoyo.
Let's start with Chacha's solo field recording. There. Let's hear what they sound like.
They're mixing field recordings of traditional musicians and instruments, voices and sounds of the past that are in danger of disappearing. Among them, the litungu, a stringed instrument played by Warema Chacha.
It's sounding really good. Yeah. This is always a bit of a nerve-wracking process because you never know if what you captured in the field, it might have sounded wonderful, but we have to see how it turned out on the recordings. We just really want to capture what it sounded like to be there in Bagamoyo and hear this amazing instrument played, you know, not in a studio, but just there at Mr. Chacha's house, where he plays it regularly.
I like Mr. Chacha's recording because when you listen to it, you can tell that he loves its music and he feels it. There is a part of the song that he say here, the word doesn't mean a thing, but it tells you that he feels that music, and you can feel it as well.
Part of the song is in Kikuria, the Kikuria language, which is Mr. Chacha's native language, and part of it is in Kiswahili. And the song is essentially a song of hope. It's saying even though life can be so difficult and really drag you down, as long as you keep walking, as long as you can keep moving forward, you know you're still alive. And so you shouldn't give up hope.
As part of the Tanzania Heritage Project, Rebecca wants to breathe new life into these recordings, which will be digitized and made accessible to the public.
When we put this track online, we really want to put it in context. It's not just an interesting sound. It's a story. It has a history embedded in it. It has the past, and also it has Mr. Chacha's hopes for the future as well.
But for these sounds to survive, it's crucial that they come to life outside of the mixing studio too. Nafasi is Dar es Salaam's leading center for visual and performing arts. It's here that Rebecca has gathered musicians from all over the country, providing a platform for those committed to keeping tradition alive.
We're really excited because we're going to be seeing performances that fuse modern and traditional elements of music into something completely new and innovative. The bands playing tonight represent the diversity and wealth of Tanzanian music. All of the acts performing tonight demonstrate how Tanzanians incorporate and are inspired by traditional music even in modern performances.
The performance will feature Western instruments such as the acoustic guitar and the saxophone, which were introduced to East Africa in the 1920s and have been fused with traditional rhythms ever since. Musician Kauzeni Liamba from the Wika Band alternates an alto sax with percussions, but it's the bamboo flute which resonates with him most of all.
This flute is from Tanzania, a place called Morogoro. Musical instruments, first of all, are parts of history, and second, it's the part of identity, you know. It's where we find where we are coming from, and it's the expression of our ancestors. When we are talking about music, we are talking about art, it's all about creativities. Creating music according to our own environment, but mixing with different kind of influence.
While striking the right balance between tradition and modernity, instrumentalists are faced with the task of handing down their expertise to younger audiences, whose attention is more readily tuned to mainstream music.
There is a danger of these instruments to not be made and to not exist as they are right now. The influence of the Western music is killing our African traditional music. So today it will be a platform of other people to have the awareness of these kind of instruments and this African music.
Bringing their knowledge and talent onto the stage are the elders, who have traveled from Bagamoyo to perform alongside Chacha's grandson Chudo and his band, The Spirits.
As a special treat, they prepared a show with Were Machacha and Omari Matitu. We recorded these guys in the field, and so it's really exciting to see what the show they've put together is kind of a traditional, modern fusion performance.
We are going
to fuse modern instruments with traditional ones. We will follow their traditional style and mix it with our contemporary vibes. I'm happy to perform with them because it will be the first time we play together.
As the sun sets on the capital, Nafasi opens its doors to crowds hungry for the sounds of Tanzania, past and present. For musicians like Warema Chacha, events like these prove that his music can still draw in young audiences and get them on their feet.
I'm so happy to perform alongside my boys from Bagamoyo. I'm very pleased that they'll keep on learning about our tradition, like they're supposed to do. I'm also very thankful that the event went very well and the turnout was so big. I really did not expect that.
I think tonight was just the start. You know, I mean, the audiences loved the performance. This shows that all along, this is the kind of thing they've been wanting, but no one has been offering it.
Music plays a major role in expressing the history of Tanzania, with musical forms that are as varied and distinct as the country itself. From traditional performances to studio-based genres, this is a country that is reclaiming its cultural heritage, with a music scene to rival that of any in Eastern Africa.
We've come full circle, I think. We started at the archives of Radio Tanzania Dar es Salaam, hearing recordings that were recorded over 50 years ago, and hearing those voices and sounds of the past, and then tracking down musicians who are still playing similar music in Bagamoyo, and then hearing them tonight in Dar es Salaam, in the biggest city of Tanzania, bringing that music to life. Heritage is now, heritage is today, and heritage is the future. It's what keeps us going. This is all a part of one story, one history, and one movement going forward.